Hey there, and welcome to the ECM Podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I'm excited to be hosting this newest episode of the podcast and take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. Today I'm talking with French saxophonist Matthieu Bordenave, whose sophomore leader recording for the label is called The Blue Land and features Florian Weber on piano, Patrice Moret on bass, and British drummer James Maddren. Matthieu talks about the inspirations behind the music, his approach to composing with very few and short melodic fragments, and how it all comes together in collaboration with Manfred Eicher. Okay, Matthieu, thank you so much for joining me in the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'd like to start a little further back before we talk about the new album with your ECM debut, La Traversée, because the trio from that recording returns on The Blue Land, but augmented by James Maddren on drums. Can you tell me how you originally came together with the German pianist Florian Weber and bass player Patrice Moret?
So we start together to play for maybe 10 years with Florian, and it was a project about Edith Piaf. And I know the mother from Florian, is singer, is into the French chanson as well. So we had this project at this time, and I start to think about it, and I contact Florian and tell him to want to play with us, and we start to play together. And it was for me a surprise, because he knew very well all this chanson, this French melody, but he was very into this modern music, so post Debussy, Messiaen, and at that time I was really impressed with these facilities.
And Patrice?
And Patrice, we start to play with Patrice right before La Traversée, and I thought about a bass player, and I listened to a recording from Elina Duni, and in quartet, and he played with such a feeling and such a sound. And for me, the bass, it's really a counterpoint from the saxophone solo, and this sound, this kind of space in his playing, I was very touched, and contact Patrice.
Yeah, and on the album, on La Traversée, you were obviously influenced by the innovations of the legendary Jimmy Giuffre 3, but you and Florian also mentioned influence spanning all kinds of modern classical music, like you just said, Messiaen, but also Dutilleux. On your new album, the drums enter the picture, and instead you tackle a late John Coltrane tune, for example, Compassion. Can we understand that as a sign that this album has a different spirit at heart?
Definitely. I think we with La Traversée, we try to really develop kind of chamber music, of course, in jazz, because but with an aspect of many communication, and really we try always to listen each other and to develop the music. And in the new one, I was fascinated the last couple of months with the late Coltrane quartet, and with this idea of a band sound, global sound, and to of course there's this idea to develop the music together and to improvise together, but I liked a lot the kind of we can immediately recognize the sound character, and we work on that a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking before starting this podcast that you kind of mentioned how, to you, the late Coltrane really was able to bridge the gap between improvisation and composition in a way that no one else really did, because it's just so fluent. And so, is that something that you really tried to?
I tried to compose some melody, but with really small elements, and small phases, and there is no form basically. It's just juxtaposition from some melody sequence, and my idea was to go into the improvisation, but without any cut and to be able to fly in the improvisation with feeling of okay, and now we start something completely different. And I think Coltrane was one of the first to try to have this. It's not a normal form, but a complete sequence of music.
And really just blurring the lines between, where one part starts and the other begins, because there is no cue, right? You're not cueing each other in. It's just searching for each other. There's motifs that kind of fly around in space, and you try to bind them together in a natural way that feels natural in the moment, I assume.
And I think there's no relationship like rhythm section and solo. It's just like deep listening, and we always try to consider each instrument as a really solo part, and with different maybe sound character, but to always the meaning what we play is the most important thing. And not to think okay, it's a rhythm element or a melody element. It's just all it's music, and we try to go further together.
Talking about, in your quartet now, there is no, this guy does the rhythm, this guy does the melody, there's no fixed roles. James Maddren, of course, enters the picture. Did he push your approach to the music into a different direction? Was it conceived from the beginning for quartet, or were you thinking, was the starting point your trio?
Definitely, I think it changed a lot of the music, because we have with James the possibility to have more space, and it's not important to always play. Drums, you can put a hit on the cymbals, and you have a room for sound. And it was for us a new dimension in the music. He thinks like a melodist, and I like a lot. He's a very good drummer for cymbals playing as well. And it's not common, because many players in the new generation are very
snare driven. Very snare driven these days, yeah.
And it's really you can feel this kind of space in his sound, and like drummer like Paul Motion, of course, and
of course.
I like that a lot.
I think we all do. Paul Motion. The closing track on the record is called Three Peaks, and if I understand correctly, it's named after the mountain range in the Pyrenees, where you grew up. Do you want to talk about the role of nature in these songs, the inspirations that drove you to write them?
It was inspired from hiking I did for a couple of years, and it's a very high mountain in the Pyrenees, and this world of silence there. And for me, it was a shock at that time to start my hiking and to go up there, and the sound disappear. At the top it was just silent, and it was for me a new feeling to be able to listen some elements like wind, to listen to the wind, not to feel the wind. And I tried in this piece, but generally in my playing to give more shapes, and to build my playing or my composition through shapes, and not I playing a line or something. And it was the idea of this piece. Yeah,
some natural breathing, I guess, of your instrument, of the instruments coming together. Another song is called Timbre. I mean, talking about sound and referring to the character of quality of a musical sound. You play soprano on that, and you play soprano on a couple of tracks on the record. I assume the title has something to do with the fact that you've been using new instruments over the past years due to your collaboration with Salmar. What is that process like, getting to know a new instrument, and how has it affected your approach to this music?
Soprano saxophone, for me, it was a kind of return, because
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots, because I start jazz with soprano saxophone. I was a classical saxophone player at that time, and I played a lot of alto saxophone, and I start jazz with soprano saxophone to be able to switch between classical music and jazz. And I played a lot in Paris at the Conservatoire Soprano Saxophone. And once I met Wayne Shorter. It was a kind of small workshop. And I was so impressed for his, of course, he's a genius, but his sound and his kindness and the feeling he can give in the music. And I play a lot of soprano, but at one point it was for me like a border. It was too many shorter, and I was blocked. And I start to play tenor to discover new territories.
Yeah.
And I play a long time tenor. And for this album, for me, I felt it's the time to play again this instrument. But now I have maybe a different approach, and for me it's like really tenor in upper register. I always try. I not really try to play different instrument, but I try to feel the same way to play, but just higher.
Talking about the suite-like character of Coltrane's album Meditations. Is that something that you feel has happened to this record too? I mean, working together with Manfred Eicher is always a question of in what sequence do we bring this music? How do we produce it in the best possible way for it all to make a great whole, you know?
Of course, it's a big chance to work with Manfred, because we really think about a CD or a recording at the beginning, and we started to talk together with Manfred about this new project and which kind of music, which musician, which addition with James, for example, and we really develop something together. And at the end, when after what we did together, I have this feeling it's really one, a big one. For me, there is not one title, second title, third title, but it's like you can. Also, I hope we can go from the beginning to the finished, and to feel this sound world we try to develop. And Manfred is really the best person for that, because he has such, of course, an experience with over great artists, but he's a musician, and if you work with Manfred, you have this feeling, okay, he listens into the music like a musician, and he has this global idea on a project, and it was a big help for us.
Matthieu Bordenave on his new album, The Blue Land, out on ECM Records. Thank you for joining me in the podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I look forward to present more new music from ECM very soon.
Mm-hmm.